Welcome to this session. The idea is really we're recording some of this for students who are not over here, but it's an informal session trying to see, giving you overall idea of this. I've been teaching CIMA for 30 years now. It's almost half my life. It's been spent here and across several countries as well. So it's been a delight and to share with you some of the things that has come up. All the slides I'm using are on the CIMA website, so you can go back and look at it again. So they're all official slides. Apologize for you in advance because I'm working with another computer, so I might be going backward, forward, but just bear up with me. F2, just look at this, is the objective test question performances, has been improved. Yeah, it was 60, has gone up to sort of 64, which might not mean anything to you if you have failed it in the first place, but at least you got it there. Hi. So are you managerial, strategic? What level are you, sir?
Management.
Manager. What have you done so far? E2 is finished, or?
Yeah, finished.
So, and then you're going to be doing F2 and P2. Coming to the right time. Here we go. Okay. So people who are here are too strategic, managerial. Okay. So we've got a mixed group. So it's okay. I'm looking at just areas where people, how performance has been from the CIMA's own point of view. Okay. We look at F2, and some of you will be preparing this F2. It's fine to see the pass marks and all that. I'm a lecturer. I have students. I try to look at where do students go wrong. Yeah, this is my focus. Where you're going to go right, you're going to go right anyways. You don't need me to tell you. But where have they been going wrong and how their performance has been. So it's kind of have a look at a few things over here. This might be. Yeah, so I'm going to put it up on a bigger screen. So I say just put up with me with this. F2 syllabus has these sources of long-term finance. This is quite a new area of the syllabus. So largely F2 syllabus, a lot of your time, be careful. Yeah. Yes, the sources of long-term finance is a new area of the syllabus. In the previous F2, we never had it. This was actually F3, been brought down over here. So the F3 papers that you did all that sources of finance, has now come into this particular level. So if you missed it, then you've missed out the sources of finance from your exams itself. So be careful. You would have covered it within your previous, whatever CPAs and things that you've done. Causing a lot of problems to students here. So this is one area. If you're going to do F2 exam, pay particular attention to it. It's quite easy, actually. It's not that difficult about it. It's about cost of debt, cost of equity, weighted average cost of capital. How do you find it? And it's just the mindset has to now change a little bit. That you might be thinking, I'm doing financial accounting. Why am I studying sources of finance? This is about raising money and what are the costs of raising equity, cost of debt, that sort of thing that is there. So once you get your mind over the fact that financial accounting, yes, I'm doing financial accounting, but yes, I'm actually studying long-term finance within here. Okay, so get that mindset ready for it. What will happen with your F2, I think I've got a little bit of a problem with F2 for you guys, is some of time management of yourself. F2, when you look at the book, you will see huge amount of consolidation, huge. I mean, you will spend weeks and weeks and weeks on consolidation. Trust me, time will just go by. And then what will happen is that when you go in the exam, the degree of, because when you study this from the books, you get all these long consolidations and you prepare statement of financial positions, cash flow statements, this one foreign currencies, the whole lot is all in there. When you go in the exam, you get small questions. At home, you've been practicing long questions. So we have this problem. Yeah? So textbooks and things have got huge amount, and they have to, because you need to know how a group account will look like. Of course you have to. So my problem with you is time management here. How much time do you have to study this paper? And how much of that time will go just studying consolidations, my friends? Oof, quite a lot. All right? So be aware to have a slightly balanced approach to your studies itself. And what I may suggest to you is just as a way of suggestion, if you are quite cavalier about it, and I'm not asking you to take any risks or anything, but start looking at some of the sources of finance and things that we have. It's proving difficult in the syllabus. Yeah? Although about 15% of the syllabus, 60% is some of these includes accounting entries applied to revenue, leases, provisions, deferred tax. So all those things are causing students problems. Students still don't understand how to account for the revenue, the leases, the provisions for deferred tax and that. So don't get just concentrated on consolidation. It's nice when a consolidated financial statement balances. You think, yeah, I got it right. This is good. Just leave that good feeling effect out of it. Focus your time. You have very little time. So start looking at those ethical accounting policies as well. And there are 3 articles been published on ratios. Now, ratios are easy marks in the exam. So why not just get those marks out of the way? Yeah. The other thing about this particular paper, students tell me at times, some of the questions appears to be quite long in themselves. Yeah? So you need to develop how to answer objective test questions. Now, in your previous studies from schools and all that, universities and things, you never had 90-minute objective test exam, did you? Or any time in your life? It's the first time. Now, okay, you're doing for the first time, it takes a little while, I tell you, yeah? You get used to this sort of things of what we have to do. And so on the CIMA website, keep mentioning this Connect website, there are practice questions. Just sit there and just practice some of the questions. Don't go in the exam without practicing what it looks like. There is on the Connect. If you go to CIMA Connect, you'll see. They've put now they've put on some more questions. CIMA went and got some more questions have been put in. So I'll guide you and show you. Oh, yeah. So you'll begin to see some questions that are there and start practicing these questions. Yeah? You use any publisher. I am not here to push any publisher. Kaplan is the official publisher, but that's to the extent of what I do. Use any publisher that you want to. I really don't mind, so long as you can practice against the clock. Now, I can't. No lecturer can force you to do against the clock. Only you can do it. Yeah. So once you've studied something, test yourself, but don't test yourself to take your time and doing it. It doesn't take a genius, does it? 90 minutes, right? That's fixed. How many questions in the exam? 60. That's fixed. Yeah, nothing moves. So you got to do 60 questions in 90 minutes. Now, it doesn't take much of mathematics to work out how long does it take to do one question. And students are sitting there taking 3-4 minutes at times. But some questions are like that. Some questions you can knock it out in 30-40 seconds. It's easy. You can get it out of the way. So the techniques in the exam when you're sitting in front of that computer, critical. But those techniques don't start when you're sitting in front of those techniques starts at home. Yeah. You got to look at home. Not by sitting on the machine, techniques will come to you and how to do it. No. When you walk in, you need to have these tools with you. So what I mean by these techniques, just scan through quickly. If there are questions which are short questions, go for them. Yeah, because CIMA allows you to go forward, backward, flag a question, come back. It's all this flexibility there in the exam until the final submit button. You can change your mind anytime you want. That way, you will get more chance of attempting questions. If there is longer one questions, leave them for a while, get back to it later on, and then come and deal with it. I don't know if you've tried that. Those of you done some of the objective test questions exams. You done one. Is that what you did?
Yeah. Lectures were particularly very long. And just to understand what the question is about, I skipped it.
Yes.
I did it for the very last because it wastes a lot of time.
Exactly.
So when you're free with everything,
then you come back to it.
And with a peaceful mind you answer.
And I would love to know what goes in the student's mind when they're doing the exam. They don't do this. At home they'll do it. So you've got to start developing these techniques which says, hey, let me go for the easy marks first, and then I'll come back to the longer questions and start answering those ones. Yeah. So first issue with F2, time management at home. Tremendous amount of your time will go in consolidations, I'm sorry, but there are easy marks in doing all the other areas that are there. So what I would suggest to you is that, allocate a specific amount of time at home. If you haven't quite finished your consolidation, just stop. Just stop and say, right, the time is finished. For example, if you say to yourself, I'm giving 4 weeks to myself to finish with my consolidation. After 4 weeks, the 5th week, just don't do any consolidation. Just go and do the other areas of it so you actually cover the syllabus. Now, I've been mentioning this syllabus, and I'm not insulting any one of you here, but how many of you actually know what the syllabus is before you do the exam? Yeah, 1, 2.
They send you books.
They send you books, and then you just study from the books.
Yeah.
But in front of the books, there is often a syllabus given to you.
Somebody, yes.
Get yourself familiar with what's in the syllabus.
Yeah.
and keep ticking on the side. I tell my students actually put dates. Yeah. Yes, I did this on this date, I did this on this date, I did this on this date. Some of the topics I say, can you review it twice before you do in the exam? So they'll put the second review dates next to it so they know they've reviewed it. So what I want you to do is to go in the exam with this confidence that you've covered the syllabus. Nothing in that screen will come which is not something you have studied, because you've covered everything. Yeah? Don't try to say, well, I'll leave this bit out, I don't like this deferred tax thing. Guess what? You'll get a question on it for sure. As soon as you leave something out that you've not studied, that damn thing is there in the exam for you to do. I'm sorry, but it's the nature of the beast that is there. So don't leave sections of the syllabus out. Please don't do that. Yeah. So that's for F2. Overall, reasonable performance. I don't think there's anything very difficult. Unfamiliarity of students because there is no previous knowledge from operational level of finance and dealing with the sources of finance, cost of finance, that sort of thing. If you've done the F1, have you done the new F1 syllabus? So in the new F1, we have now sources of finance. So in the new F2, which you are doing, is the cost of capital that is there. So there's a sort of progression of knowledge. So you might have missed out on a little bit of sources of finance. Is that okay? Right. Next bit of the paper, P2, yeah? People call numbers. I like you to actually read the name of the paper. It does say Advanced Management Accounting, all right? And it is advanced level. So you're now a big boy. You're no longer at the operational level. You're coming into the managerial section of your career, and you are expected to perform on that level. So you're doing P2, you've not done it yet, you've not done it yet, you've not done it yet, cleared, passed, finished, strategic level, and you are going to do. So this applies to you, this P2 paper. Knowledge of P1 needed, all right? So in fact, sometimes the knowledge from the old C1 from the foundation needed up here as well. So it's a progressive paper. Gaps in knowledge will cause you a lot of lack of confidence here. Students who are not confident in P2 often haven't got the foundation really sorted out. Either they were exempt and they're not studied in their degrees or something like that, these professional courses. So you really have to have this knowledge. I've been teaching this P2 for 30 years or so, so I've seen the whole variety of students on this paper who come in. Yes, there was some manufacturing background to a lot of these questions in the olden days, but you still get quite a few service industry type questions. Typically sort of questions which challenges you is how you use this ABC in a service industry. If I give you ABC in a manufacturing industry, you're fine. You'll do all your cost drivers, blah, 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 and find the cost and all this. But I put this in an insurance company or a travel agency, and you start thinking, how do I do ABC in a... So your brains need to change now. Yeah? Cannot just be thinking about a manufacturing. It is advanced management accounting paper. Right? So I just wanted to emphasize that one point on this one. What have we got over here? I'm not happy with this pass rates. They've improved, certainly. 58, 62. I would love to see a 7 in front of this number. I think the papers being set and things ought to be, students who are doing this should be getting towards the 70% pass rate first time. First timers are pretty low, 44, 44. So, if you failed it 1 or 2 times, very few people are actually getting it through the very first time, getting 44 chess things. And so 44% passing it the first time. Then subsequent attempts and things, pass rates have increased over this period. Looking at cost planning analysis for competitive advantage. Cost analysis, again, some of this stuff really from P1 stage in itself. Control and performance of management of responsibility center. A little bit new, you've not seen this thing before, but nothing all that difficult within itself. Long-term decision making has always been there for years. Managing control and risk. A little bit of risk coming in this paper from the P3 paper which we had previously. So this risk is just very fundamental, very academic type of risks that is there. Questions on risks, not that difficult to get your head around, really. It's not a difficult area. I think what happens here is that students start with their studies materials and things, kind of read this part as kind of the first part that is there in the books and things, And then they start getting a little bit deviated away, start thinking, oh, do I understand this, do I not? And the lack of understanding is because you can't apply it. And if you can't see the application of this, then it's where your problem is. So if you ask me, what is the main problem for a P2 student? Lack of application. They can see it in the textbook, they can't apply it at all. Yeah. I've worked in manufacturing industries, I've seen it, I've worked in service industries, so I can relate to it. But it's this issue about how do you get a student's mind about seeing this and applying it. And for that, you need to know really what the company is doing, what the organizations are, and start looking around, and you'll begin to see that. If you're working, most of you working? Yes? So you can see the application of management accounting to your companies. You may not be at the level at which you're dealing with it, but it doesn't stop you questioning it. Yeah? Surely, most companies must be doing some decision making, no? Yes or no? So think of it. Today, what decisions is my company taking? This year, next year, this month, last month? How was this decision made? You may not be the decision maker, but it doesn't stop you thinking about making decisions. Yeah? People who rise in organizations and achieve great stature are people who can make decisions. Yeah? You have 500 people working, probably only a handful of them make decisions. Yeah? Is the decision maker which creates wealth for the company, is the who adds value to your company itself. So when you're studying this sort of areas, yeah, be aware of it. Much more profound use of these areas in itself. Examination-wise, time management. I find time management a big problem with P2. Those of you done it and passed it, well done. Those of you not done it, can you please, humble request that you practice this at home against the clock, every question. You will find 90 minutes is a bit short for you at times. Yeah? Depending on questions you get, of course, it's a random questions come up from the data bank. But on average, I can only talk to you on average. And I'm talking to you about experiences of students whose English is not their first language, right? So these are my Russian students or Ukrainian students or Kazakh students. And they find they have to read the question and then reread it again. And how many marks for reading? 0, right? The clock just goes so quick. Yeah, trust me, it's the fastest 90 minutes in P2 of your time. Gone, just like that. Yeah? You passed it. What was your approach to this paper?
I practiced all 3 papers at home.
Right.
Had to find mock papers, mock questions. I had to buy that assessment from CIMA.
Fine.
That was very helpful, but they had the most difficult question. And compared to that, the papers at all 3, the original actual papers were much easier.
Much easier. Yeah,
so
good.
The mock assessment makes you feel like you'll fail every time.
Right.
But the actual paper is far easier.
Well, good. There you go. Thanks for sharing that. So get this sort of questions. They're all available. Listen, we are all here together to help you to pass this exam. That's the only reason I'm standing here for you. Is that there are sources of questions, and even more important for me, start making links with each other. Don't just come to this room today and then disappear. Yeah, okay, be polite to each other, exchange some sort of emails or phone numbers or something, and support each other here. It's a family. This is nothing other than that. We are a CIMA family. We are here to support each other. Yeah. One thing I promise you, exams will never get easier. All right. If you tell me, can we please make the exam easier? No, exam will not be easier. You raise your standard up for me, right? And we are here to help you to raise this standard. So in terms of your P2, please be aware of that. I think it is the examination time management critical, absolutely critical. Knowledge, I think there are some gaps in knowledge where here students don't quite understand the application of it. They can't understand, they know what the concepts are in management accounting, but they can't apply it to these practical questions. And I think that bridging, that practical experience or practical application, very, very important. So every time you do something, stop. Anytime you study a particular topic, think, my company, do they do this? Or can I find from another company, do they apply these sort of principles here? And you'll begin, once you do that, you learn yourself. You learn yourself. Nothing stops you. Look, there's so much magazines, newspapers, all sorts of things, isn't it? You start thinking, okay, well, let's just pick small example of long-term decision making. Here's an oil company. You might not be working for an oil company, but you know what an oil company is, don't you? Yeah, let's look at shipping and tankers and all these sort of things. I want to buy a ship. Yeah, it cost me $100 million. It's my long-term decision, isn't it? What processes have I gone through in my mind to make a decision of spending 100 million of my company's money? That is what it's about. That's what I mean by practical part of it. Yes, the textbook tells you nicely how to evaluate a project on a long-term basis. Yes, fine. Keep that on a side. Say, what's my practical application? What's my practical application? What I'm trying to do actually is I'm trying to corrupt your brain a little bit, all right? I'm trying to corrupt your brain to your case study. Because the case study is the practical application of it. So I'm trying to, at your stage of studying for these objective test questions, start building into yourself now this questioning mode. Yeah? When you're at a managerial level, the inward questioning becomes quite important. Operational level is just mechanical things, just get it out of the way, boom. But now when I'm at managerial level, if I don't have this ability within myself to question it, apply it, see if I can integrate it a bit, then you're going to be stuck. And CIMA wants you to be doing this sort of stuff. Is that okay? Yeah, so studying on its own, just like that, will not work. Okay? So P2, my friend, we'll talk one-to-one, all right? And I'll guide you where you're going wrong, if anything that is there, and drag you with it. I'll give you my personal email and things to everybody. It's not a problem for me. Write to me. I'll be in touch with you. Get on WhatsApp, whatever. If it helps you, I'll be there, all right? Okay. All right, next bit we have. E2. E2, lovely paper. Yeah, look at the pass rates. 91, 92%, yeah. E2 has not been a problem paper. Yeah, it's one of the easiest papers, not easiest, I think it's the one where students have caught on to how to answer E2 questions and managed to get through. I wouldn't say it's an easy paper. No, nothing is easy. I don't think any single CIMA paper is an easy paper you can sleep and pass. No, absolutely not. But E2 has had tremendous pass rate. Yeah? I think questions are manageable in time. Very, very few students are coming out saying, I didn't finish the paper. Yeah? Remember, I'm talking about people whose English is not their first language, sometimes third language. You know, they'll read something and they think, oh, what does it mean now? I can't understand. Yeah, it's this sort of people who are managing to finish the paper and pass it. Is that fair? Yeah? So I think won't spend too long a time on E2. Not such a problem paper. Problem with E2, by the way, is little bit of boredom by students. Yeah? It's a written paper. And when you're reading it after a day's work, you've had a hard day, you know and I know, come on. Yeah? Eyes look at the words, brain remembers nothing. You read a whole page, you think, what did I read? I forgot what it. Does it happen? Yes? And so you need to start looking at yourself as to how you are studying, and I'll probably do an overall study method or study technique session towards the end of what I'm talking about. Is that okay? So I'll bring in some study sessions there. Techniques, okay. So E2, not a very difficult things. Problems are really managing change through projects and things, I think seems to be causing a bit of problem about how to deal with this managing change. Do you like change? Do you like change? Yes. Do you change anything in your life? Yeah, you probably sit at the same desk for 5 years. Yeah. In terms of change, let's talk the other way. What is something new you have done for the last year or so, or 6 months? Is there something you've done completely new you've never done in your life? Yeah. Yeah, well, good. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to judge you. You judge yourselves. But it is this change, yeah, continuously required from you. Internally, now talking external environment change. Internally, you need to change in terms of CIMA knowledge and things. And then you'll start looking at it from yourselves and thinking, yeah, hang on a minute. I've matured as a CIMA student now. I've become a better student than I was. Yeah? And is in you, not sort of external to you. It will be reflected externally in the way you work and the way you perform, is how you've studied these areas. So E2, one of those areas. Okay? So all these things are from the CIMA website I'm taking, okay? So all of this is entirely just to show you here. It's all CIMA website. We had a lecturers' conference in 8th and 9th of October. I went to this conference. It was a good time to go to this. You could question and talk to the examiners, talk to the CIMA people. What is this new system that they are examining? What is happening? Blah, blah. So it was a good exchange of ideas. And for us as tutors, it was good to see another tutor giving his or her opinion about what is happening and things. So it was very good of CIMA to put up this conference so at least we could have a session to exchange various views that were around. Right? And this is all from there. All right, open in 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Here we go. So students sitting at the strategic level, you're kind of almost all getting up to a fairly high level of your understanding and application, so you're a senior manager. At this stage, something I have not emphasized too much, but this will be for the strategic case study. People will be coming through soon. There are competencies on which you will be tested. And these competencies are business acumen, people skill, leadership skill, and core accounting. They've all been judged equally at 25%. I'll talk a little bit about case study. Anybody going to be doing the case study? Yeah. Strategic case study?
Yes.
1. Anybody else? No. Okay, so you will have to have a balance of understanding of, and you will be dealing with something called the core accounting. That is business acumen, people skill, leadership skill. So please don't expect a question saying this is leadership question, this is business. No, there will be a question which will test you. Although it won't be just one question. There'll be several questions testing you, several of these outcomes that are there. And you need to pass each of this. Business acumen, people skill, leadership skill, and core accounting. That is there. So be careful of how it is marked or assessed. So as far as you're concerned, you want to pass. So you ask yourself, what do I need to do to pass? You need to get a mark above 80, so it's a range of 80 to 150, and you need to pass each of the competencies that are there. My daughter is doing strategic level. She's failed it twice now, costing me money. And she's passed, she got over 80 in one, but she failed one of the skills and failed her. This is my own home, so I'm telling you my daughter what she's done. Yeah. She's just done the exam or is about to do or has just done it last few days. I haven't seen her, so I don't know how she's done that particular paper. So there are students who are suffering on these areas because they haven't quite understood that they have to pass each of the skills and how to pass the business skill. How do you pass people skill? How do you pass leadership skills? And at strategic level, that's what you are. Yeah? You're going to be the leader, the future leader at that stage. Right, so I just mentioned quickly for people doing this. I can spend a lot of time on the case study for you later. Right, E3. So a friend here, welcome. Not making joke of you or anything, it's more politely we're together. So 70-odd% pass rate. Yeah? And you might say to yourself, yeah, those are pass rates, but to me it is 0, which is fair, I understand that. First time passes were about 60%, 59, 60%. So fairly good pass rate, I would suggest, at this. Problem areas, let's have a look at this. So you got, I'll be just looking at one section, which is the failed students where they fail, okay? So, yeah, you have these words, not proficient, proficient in themselves, yeah. Areas where they're interacting with organization environment, evaluating strategic options and things, leading changes, so not proficient in evaluating some strategy and strategic options that are there. And you may think, maybe I was good at this one. How did I fail this? And you got a fair question which says, I don't know where I'm going wrong. I will answer that question for you, okay? So, and you got some sort of leadership changes causing problems with them, and the role of information technology in there. Students studying this particular paper, again, concentrating on the written part type papers. Not a huge problem in time management. I don't know, did you find running out of time answering the questions?
No, not really.
No, I think the problem is, if there is A, B, C, D, the choice between the answers is a problem.
Too many right answers.
Yeah.
too many right answers. This is a big problem with this paper, yeah, because they get questions on which of the following or select which all applies.
Yeah.
And you think all applies, and you've got 6 of them. You get one wrong, you fail.
Yeah.
You get one wrong, you fail. This is a tough one, yeah. Now CIMA has tried to reduce those number of questions which are all that apply, but you'll still get some. Yeah, I'm sorry, you will still get some. So your technique is to leave those questions right till the end. Don't answer them at the beginning. Don't start to think, because the choice between one and the other, so close, so close. Yeah, a word can change the answer, or a phrase, or a word, and you are under pressure. 90 minutes, the clock is going. Why you want stress? Why you want to stress? Leave that question. Yeah. Earlier days, there were quite a lot of all that applies. My daughter did this exam, so I can tell you from my daughter what she tells me on this paper. Yeah, and she said, "Oh, Dad, some of the questions were just terrible because the answers were so close to each other. I didn't know what was the right answer itself." So, only way to practice is if you can get as many of those questions around, and I don't think there are that many around to practice as well. In fairness itself, yeah, and so what the CIMA approach has been is that if a student has the knowledge of it, yeah, then it will be obvious for them to select which one will apply. Their approach is that if you don't have the knowledge, is where you are not sure, is it this, or is it this, or is it this? So you need to think about it. Do you really have the knowledge for it? Or is the knowledge not quite at the depth, or is it just superficial knowledge? So I think I need you to ask that question to yourself. There may be areas where you have tremendous knowledge, you know a lot about it. But then there are others where it's just fairly superficial. So I'd like you to kind of draw a histogram type thing, the level on one side of how much depth of knowledge I have on each syllabus areas that is there. I think that might, I don't know if you've ever done that. No? What you do is just simply take, just kind of drawing a histogram chart, and you, for each of the syllabus topics that you have, you put yourself in a score as a level, says 70% knowledge, 80% knowledge, or something like that on this scale, and then start drawing little bar charts. I'm saying, yeah, that one I have 100% knowledge, that one I have a little bit less knowledge. And that needs honesty. That needs total honesty from yourself. If you don't know something, well, you don't know something. And just be honest and say, I really don't know. Or is it one of those, I think I know, but I don't really know. And this, what I'm asking you to do, is to just ask yourself inwardly, do I really know the syllabus? Before you rush to the answer saying, yes, I just want you to stop a bit. I just want you to say, let me just think now, hang on. Let me get the syllabus out. And let me just start drawing this on a histogram. I do that with some of my students, this one, and they find it quite useful. They are faced. It's like a mirror. You just look at it, you can't lie to you, can it? Eh? So it is what you look at and say, yes, do I really have that knowledge? The second step then comes is application. Yeah. So once you have the knowledge, is the problem then of application? So I need 2 things sorted from you. One, is the knowledge there? And you'll say yes, but I need to know 100% that you have 100% knowledge on all the areas that is there. Difficult because, I can't expect you to know everything about everything. Yeah? Let's be fair about it, these things. Yeah? The second one then comes in is application. And then sort of homing it down, where in the application you're going wrong. For that one, on a one-to-one basis, I can send you some questions. You do it against the clock in all honesty, which you are an honest woman. I can then see how you're doing it. That I can offer you. No problem at all. It'd be a pleasure to do it. Then it'd be nice to know, where is this young lady going wrong in it? It'd be lovely. For me, it is nice to just find out, where is the problem? Yeah? All right. So I'll exchange some ideas with you on this. So strategic level students, E3, reasonably good pass rate, can get stuck purely because of his written contents. There's quite a lot of written content. Obviously, there's hardly any calculations here for you to do. But, by the time you've done your E1, E2, coming on to E3, you're getting used to it now. Yeah? You're getting used to it itself. Okay. But please don't forget the level at which you are in the organization. These exams are pitched at that level. Yeah? So don't think these exams are pitched at a lower level. No, they are pitched at somebody who is quite senior. You're a senior manager. So you are expected to know all that. Yeah? Okay. Next one. Risk management, P3. Had a very slow start, this paper, with 57%, bumped up quite high. Students have almost realized, whoa, I can actually pass this. This was a paper they used to have a little bit of fear for, but no more. I think some of the topics have now gone away from here, and so this might have helped them a bit. A lot of this risk area. Anybody done P3? You're going to do P3. About to do P3. Be careful. This is one particular paper where you've got to start thinking in terms of practical applications. This is not just theoretical stuff. You take the P3 book and you look at it. The bits of theory, not a lot. Yeah? A lot of it is application. A lot. I mean, when I say a lot, I mean a lot of application here. And you passed it, which is good. So you've got a logical mind. The brain is there. It's a small little tweak somewhere. So get ready with that. Got to start understanding in the context of the business, if I can use those words. In the context of the business, this risk. Bear that in mind, and bear that in mind that the level at which you are sitting in the organization, this paper becomes quite easy to follow then. But you need to raise your standard. A lot of this material within this particular paper, you haven't really studied it in previous papers. So I can't say this comes from managerial level, this comes from operational level. It's kind of new to you. Yeah? But the new is good because it's fresh. So you approach it with the freshness. And that keeps your motivation high. You know, for sometimes things you come from progression level, you get a bit bored about it. Whereas here, it's kind of new. And you know how it is. Get a new toy, you get excited. It's that sort of stuff. Yeah? Yeah, you might think my life is boring. I get excited about CIMA. I do. Yeah? And this is one paper that it does help you to bring that freshness into the particular paper. But practical application. Boy, I cannot underestimate this on this paper. You really have to. Yeah? Start stretching your imagination, looking at papers, looking at companies across. I mean, not just companies, organizations. Yeah? Could be non-profit making, governmental organization. We all have risk. Every business has a risk, isn't it? Give you a piece of paper and a pen, and I say to you, write down the risk your business has, your business, where you're working today. You go home today on the metro, start writing. What are the risks of my business? You'd be surprised. Yeah? You ever think what risk your business is having? You just go to work, collect the salary, go home, enjoy life. Why not? Yeah? Life is for that. But if I can ask you, it doesn't matter which papers you're doing, okay? By the way, managerial, strategic, doesn't matter. This applies to you. You start looking at risk of the organizations you're in. Start identifying what the risks are. This makes you a management accountant. Yeah? Not just somebody who's crunching numbers and writing reports. Yeah? It's your vision of what it is. Yeah? And it becomes quite exciting, no? Yes, no? You don't get excited by this? I get terribly excited when I look at these things. I just flew today from India, and I was sitting there and I flew on Emirates, and I thought, what risk has Emirates got? Yeah, I have all these 3 hours to sit around. And I started thinking what risk this airline business has these days. And it's amazing. Yeah? It goes from foreign currency to oil prices to technology to passengers, customers, everything. And it's just whole gushum of it. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Do it. Yeah? You all have iPhones and all these things, don't you? Mobile phones. Hey? Yes, no? Mine is an old-fashioned one. Arsenal supporter, so you pass your exam. If you support Arsenal, you pass, madam. What risk does this business have? Do they have risk? Sure they have. What are these risks? Ask yourself this. Please don't just study CIMA from textbooks. This is what I'm trying to bring into you here, is that textbooks are one part of the knowledge. At strategic level, if you cannot do it in the context of that business, you're doing yourself a disservice. Yeah? And you know, when you do the case study, you'll be so stuck, you won't be able to get your head around it otherwise. So please, start raising this bar. Okay. So that's P3, so I have to mention that. Not a lot of difficulties really in here. Financial strategy paper. Went through quite a lot of changes. Quite a bit of old syllabus has come out and gone elsewhere in your papers. Pass rate, biggest jump that has been from 54 to 64% over the September sessions last year. So this is, or this year. So pretty good attempt at it. A lot of students are failing this F3 because there are fairly new concepts to them in here. If you've done the the new F2, you would have covered the cost of finance, cost of debt, cost of equity, all that stuff that is there, which you then use in this particular paper. So let me just highlight this for you. I find it exciting paper, this one, really. So fairly, the red and the blue line, yeah, red is proficient, not proficient. Formulation of financial strategy. Probably one of the most important part of your business. What strategy, and the importance of the word strategy here. Yeah? What financial strategy should the company have? In formulating any strategy, it is not just finance. A finance strategy is interrelated with everything else within the business. And if you cannot show this interrelation of a strategy having an effect on other things of the business, not getting through this particular paper. Yeah. Financing and dividends, I think students are getting there with the dividends. Somehow, maybe I'm a lecturer, I don't find the dividends all that difficult, but I don't know how students can't grasp it as yet. So I have no idea what is blocking this understanding of dividends, and how dividends and the cost of dividends and dividends policies that the companies can have itself. Then there's a whole load on corporate finance itself. Quite a nice, interesting area to study, but overall the failure rates are around these three areas, quite so. How do you approach this area now? Well, I don't expect you to be working in a big finance treasury department all the time of your career, so you might not have, in practical sense, wherever you're working, I'm assuming, okay? I'm assuming you don't really have much financial strategy work. Do you work where you have to prepare the financial strategy or help the strategy or anything like that? So you see the theoretical, but you can't see the practical application. I think that's, and very few jobs you'll have where you'll be able to do that. Dividend policy, what should be the dividend policy? It's all going to be your textbook knowledge for you. Am I right? Get the textbook, learn of the textbook, tells you this, it tells you this, it tells you this. Well, it should not be, yeah? It should not be. You can look up companies who declare dividends and things. If you read up, a whole lot of companies are declaring dividends. Why do they declare dividends? What is their policy? This sort of thing. So again, a little bit of research for you to do on this basis. Quite an involving area, this corporate finance area. You come to London, show you a whole lot of finance houses and different finance structures that are there. There's a multitude, and even in Dubai as well, becoming a big finance center. You can have a variety of sources of finance and things of higher finance strategies are working. Okay? Yes, a lot of reading of the textbook here, quite a lot. And then it's an area where quite a few students tell me, those who have not been working with that sort of level of strategy, they've managed to pass the exam, but in work they haven't progressed so much. So they said, Dilip, I just have to learn this by what the book tells me. And they end up just doing the book knowledge. And then they get a bit stuck, of course. And once they get stuck, then I have to start throwing real example. I remember doing a merger acquisitions with these guys once, and I brought a real merger and acquisitions. Yeah, just yesterday we had a big merger acquisition or merger announced. Did you read this?
No, telecom.
Which one? Pfizer. Yeah, $160 billion company is being created. Can you imagine? 160 billion will write off Greek debt, man. Yeah, complete. These are huge mergers. Why do companies merge? Companies of this scale, not just on finance, it's got everything else, all business things, blah, 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 So study it. That's what I'm trying to offer you. You can just open the internet today. Just look up, this Pfizer with Alliance merger. Why are they merging? Just start with that. Why? Why do these companies merge? Then how? How do you merge a company of these sizes together? Phenomenal. Yeah? So why? How? Question yourself this thing. And only you can do it. Textbook can't do this for you. No, absolutely not. Textbook will say to you, different values of valuing a business. Here they are. This is the model. This is the model. This is how you do it. Blah, blah. Real life, who's put this value? 160 billion. How? How has it been done? Yeah, you're accountants. You need to go and look into it. So if I can inspire you to start looking at it at the strategic level, guys, in particular. Yeah, very important at this stage. Okay. So much on each of the levels and each of the papers. Just want to cover overall a few things which and I apologize if I repeat myself here, about exam techniques. Yeah? Now, exam techniques don't start in the exam. They start at home. When you start studying tomorrow, it starts tomorrow with you, right? Number one in that is time management. And what I mean by time management is a simple word. Every textbook tells you time management, all that. What I'm trying to tell you is actually sit down quietly, look at yourself and see how do you study and what are your mental peaks. We all have mental peaks, right? At some days in a 24-hour cycle, our mental energy is at the highest and some it's absolutely the lowest. Have you ever noticed it in yourselves? Yes, no? Me, as I said earlier on to our friends in this session before, if I study any written type paper in the afternoon, I'm hopeless. So when I was a student, I never studied written paper in the afternoon. Forget it. Get a calculator type question, get this. So I knew I would be wasting my time if I do a written reading type question there. But in the evening, give me something from 6 o'clock in the evening till 10, razor sharp. I'm up. My brain is superb in the evening. I can pick things up. Most complicated things, I can sort it out. I'm fine with this. Morning, I'm kind of averages. So I don't waste my time in the afternoon. You need to find out yourself. Yeah? So that's number one. Number two, working day. You wake up, go to work, come back, you're tired from work. And as soon as you say you are tired, the brain will not work. Trust me. As soon as you tell your brain you're tired. Trust me, gone. Yeah. So yes, I'm not saying come home from work straight away, sit down and start studying. No, I'm not saying that. But have a disciplined study session. So if you get home at say 6 o'clock, for example, right? You may have your dinner, talk to your family, all that. Say 7:30. Okay, so given you enough time. From 7:30 to say 9:30, you got 2 hours there. Study those 2 hours, but I'm not even saying study whole 2 hours. That's 120 minutes to me. Yeah? But study the paper which you are mentally, high, low, see where you are in terms of it. But break that 2 hour session into half an hour like that. And as soon as you finish half an hour, stop, review. Stop, review, okay? So I'm not saying recall, I'm saying review. Two different words in English. Recall is different to review. Review is, what did I actually study? Did I understand this bit? What was that? No, let me look it up. Boom. Start making some notes. Yeah, have your own little notes or cards or something, whatever works for you. So some of my students, they make flashcards. They write on it and they're sitting in the metro just reminding themselves of this. So it is, when you were a child, did you remember I used to teach my children with flashcards, used to hide them and say, where is which card? Memory works this way. Yeah. So you've got to start thinking about how memory works. Long term, short term, two types of memory you need. There are bits you'll need for the exam and then forget about it. You'll never want to know it again in your life, all right? Pass the exam and done, forget about it, gone. So start thinking about how do you cultivate your own short-term, long-term memory. But the studies for CIMA, I'm sorry, but it does require daily, and I mean daily studies, even if it's half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour, I don't mind. Whatever it is that you can allocate. Don't try to do exit velocity. Exam is somewhere towards this date. 4 weeks before the exam, I'll study like mad. Every weekend, evening, wake up at 2 o'clock, start studying and all. No. You need to have a disciplined approach. Disciplined approach always works for you. Yeah? You have weekends here on Friday, am I right? And Saturday? 2 days off. Listen, Friday, Saturday, meet your friends and all that. I'm not saying no, life has to go on, obviously. But have again a discipline. What am I going to do on a Friday? But don't wake up on a Friday and say, what am I going to do? On Thursday night, you need to know on a Friday morning when I wake up, I'll be doing this, this, and this. That's discipline. Now, surely you can do that. surely. Yeah? Not wake up on Friday, flick through the books, oh, maybe I'll study this a little bit. No, no, no. You've got to be regimented. And it comes natural to you, trust me. When you sleep on Thursday night, before your head hits the pillow, you think, yeah, hang on, what am I going to do tomorrow? And you'll do it. Yeah, you'll do it. So allocate your time. Break your time up into little chunks. So it is quality studies, not just quantity study. No point sitting 8 hours and say to your friends, I studied 8 hours today. Who cares? What is the quality of this? What was the TQM quality part of this? Did you study in terms of quality? Only you can answer. I can't answer that. Yeah? So don't kid yourself on it. Yeah? And don't just sort of say, yes, I've been studying for so long, all day long, I'm tired, and I'm going out and all the rest of it. Have a break. Yeah, of course, have a break. That is there. So time management and study-wise is before the exam. Secondly, as I've said so many times, get to know your syllabus. I think not knowing the syllabus is highly dangerous. And have a checklist. Print it out from the CIMA website. Keep it in front of you. Have I covered this area? Have I covered this area? Yes, I've done this. Yes, I've done this. Yes, I've done this. Do maybe like a chart that I was saying to you. Have I studied it, and really is my knowledge up to 60%, 70%, 80% of each of my syllabus topics? Well, fine. Get to know, do you know the syllabus? Yeah? So when you go in the exam, you're not shocked. You can't say, oh my God, where did this question come from? Well, it came from the syllabus. CIMA is not going to put in questions which are not within the syllabus. We know, I know, it will happen. All right? So 90 minutes, 60 questions, all from those syllabus. So get to know the syllabus. Okay? In terms of learning sort of techniques and things which works for yourself, some of you are very good at learning with charts. Some of you are very good at learning with numbers. Some of you are very good at learning with words. We learn these things by words, numbers, or diagrams or charts. What works for you? Find out. Yeah? If a mind mapping system works for you, do it. If numbers work for you, then try to do something and relate it to a number. But human mind, my mind, your mind, the CIMA studies type sort of thing, requires you to question and say, hey, how do I study? How do I remember some things? Yeah? And you will find, some of you study quite, if I ask you here, what are you good at? If I ask you to remember something, if I drew a chart of something that's in front of you here, would you remember the chart better, or would you remember words? Let's do this on this one. Suppose this is a diagram, right? If I take this information and I put it into text, and I type 50 words here, will you remember the chart, or will you remember the text?
The
chart. Some people are different. There's nothing right, wrong. There's nothing right, wrong. All I'm saying is find out for yourself. Now, if you are a chart type person, then when you're studying something, if not something is clear, start drawing the charts. Why not? Yeah? I used to do that. I used to learn things quite a bit by mnemonics and things. I used to make up my own words about something. So I would then look at something and say, okay, first letter of this, make up a mnemonic, boom, it's in my head, done. That's how my brain works. So I picked it up on that basis. Sometimes I would have to sort of think about, how does this thing work? Try to see if I got some sort of logical approach to it. So introduce some logic in the method in which we are studying. So it's a whole science behind how we study this. I'm just quickly telling you these three things. So study by words, study by charts, or do you study by numbers? Up to you. Whatever it is that you know, you do it. I've mentioned to you your body clock, so do that bit. Start writing down things that you might. Nowadays, a lot of my students, they're just all mobile type guys. They don't write things. Most of my guys are this. They type in. So they're sitting in the train looking at it. Yeah, done. That's it. Carry this with them all the time. So instead of carrying, cards and things, they use notes quite a lot. Just write notes to themselves about each part of the syllabus. Use it. Whatever works for you, it works, isn't it? Yeah? You will remember this one. So we covered that particular area. Much more than I'm just trying to restrain and not overload you with these study techniques and things. Yes, practice. Now let's get to this practice which I've talked to you before as well. and remind you, 90 minutes, 60 questions, 1.5 minute. If you don't practice that at home under the same time condition, then on the day of the exam, you will find a lot of stress. I rather you are stressed at home. Yeah, an exam is fun. You just go and say, right, I'm not going to get stressed in the exam. Because the problem is this, we're all human beings. Listen, when we're doing exams, we all get stressed, okay? So certain degree of stress is good. It keeps the adrenaline going for you. But overstressed, the mind breaks up. You cannot remember. You go completely blank. You think, oh my God, I've forgotten this thing completely. This happens, yeah? So just be aware of it, that when you're studying these things at home, try to put yourself under time pressure. So in the exam, you don't have this problem of, for the first time, your heart is pumping, sweat is coming out, man. Yeah, it's a tough time. I've seen students do this. They sweat, their palms, their hands are going like this, like this. Yeah. Yes, no? Am I the only one? Have I seen students like this? Yeah. They do it in my classroom when I put them under stress, So, start drinking water. I say, what are you drinking for? Oh, I'm stressed, Dilip. I say, come on, move. Yeah. But you have to do that to yourself. I'm not here, otherwise I would do it for you and say, come on. And you will see me cracking the whip at times, but in a loving manner, all right? So I'm a father as well. Yeah, so we do it that way. So, this summary of things, of how you should be studying, how you should be learning, will be useful for you. Try it. Yeah, don't just listen to it. It's easy to agree with me here today. When you're sitting at home on your own, try it. And not only that, you try with each other. You check with each other. Hey, have you tried this way? Have you tried? Oh, how are you trying this? How are you trying this? And please share. Don't try to preserve your knowledge. Oh, this is my knowledge and I'll keep it to myself. No. Knowledge is to be shared. Yeah. Just share your knowledge with people. All right. The more you multiply a knowledge, the more you divide your knowledge, the more it multiplies. Yeah. Remember that. The more you divide your knowledge, the more it multiplies. So just spread it. You're all CIMA guys, we're all family, we're a small bits of people here. So let's just help each other with that way. Is that fair enough? Yeah? Any specific questions you have? For Madam, I have, because I want to help you get through this paper. So which paper are you going to be doing, sir? F2. Happy with it?
Yeah.
Yep. Any problem areas in F2?
Not a problem, but maybe the consolidation has taken.
Yes, it's long.
Yeah. For some time, I have to skip it and start.
Right.
Right.
But the trick is not to get sucked into this consolidation.
Yeah.
And you need somebody or yourself to tell you, hey, I don't want to get sucked in. Let me just move on to the next. There are a lot of other areas to score marks on than consolidation. Yeah. One main problem I have is this. I find students come to my classes and I usually tell them after my class, 3 weeks after my class, go and do your objective test questions. Yeah? But they keep delaying and do it later. Do you guys do that? Yeah. How do you decide which date to do it? Come on, be honest with me, all right? Do you set a date and then move it? No, you fix it, do it, and do it. Good man, yeah. You?
I do the same.
Same, madam?
No, you mean the exam?
Yeah.
I change.
You change, okay. We want honesty here.
No, I never changed.
Never changed. You haven't done it yet, so you haven't done it yet.
I don't change.
You change.
Haven't changed.
Haven't changed.
I haven't tried anything.
Haven't tried anything, okay. And you? Haven't changed. Good. So combination of change, not change. Yes. There are students who are saying, oh, I'll leave it. So if you change the date, you know what? You're just postponing the problem. That's all. You're only postponing the problem. You do it 2 weeks later, but 2 weeks later, you're still not ready. Yeah? So fix a realistic date to start with. Don't be unrealistic. Yeah? So be realistic. Say, right, I've studied this for this date. I'm going to do my exam 3 weeks after that. And stick to that date. And then the journey starts. What are you going to do from finishing a course or whatever it is for a 3 weeks period? How am I going to practice this? And it's a journey to that exam. But don't move that date. Once you fixed it, get it out of the way. Yeah? Those of you not done it, I know it's November, and you might think I'm scaring you, but I'm not, trust me. Nearly the end of November, you got 4 weeks for a paper that you are studying. I've asked people, what paper are you studying, whatever. Make sure, before 31st of December, you go and set the date today, Christmas Day, 25th of December, let's say, whatever, all right? And then don't move that date. So you've got 3 weeks to get yourself going for it. Go for it, all right? And try your very, very best. You fail, okay, remember when you failed the exam, don't think of yourself as a failure. You are not a failure, all right? You just failed a 60-question exam, that's all. Yeah, next week do it again. Next week, because the knowledge is there. You can just do it. Yeah. Okay, so that much from me, really, on overall things of CIMA. In terms of progression and things, you guys who are managerial will be going through your managerial case study. Strategic ones will be doing strategic case study. Let's talk about a little bit on case study. Is that okay? All right. Let's start with managerial case study. So case study exam has been designed to be quite practical exams. If you see the past papers, first of all, the case study takes place, as you know, how many times a year? 4 times a year. And each time there is an exam, how many variants do they have? 5. So in 1 year, you have 4 exams with 5 variants. That is 20 past papers for you. Isn't it amazing amount of past papers to practice from? Right? So you will tell me, but hey, Dilip, hang on. That case study was on a different scenario. It doesn't matter. Trust me, all right? So if you're doing a case study, where are we now? Somebody doing any case study exams? When is the next one you're doing? February one? Oh. February? Yeah, so when you do in February, if I can suggest to you, of course, look at the case study for February because it's related to your answers. But it doesn't stop you looking at the past cases.
I've done that.
Yeah.
And my answers never, they're not in sync with these.
They will never be exact. No student produces a model answer, I guarantee you. Right?
So you can't actually assess yourself whether you're correct or not?
No, when you're doing your self-assessment, you can't. So you need somebody to mark it for you.
Yeah, but I don't have any peer or
Fine.
senior to mark.
Well, so this is where we got peers and seniors here, right? So you start making friends here and start thinking, hey, hang on, can I ask somebody to mark it for me? If he marks yours, he may be wrong by how many percent? 10%? Fine, at least you know it, right? So, whatever marks he gives you, scale it down, don't scale it up.
Is there someone
Think of
in
the
CIMA
word.
who can mark it for you?
No, there's nobody in CIMA who can.
A lot of us haven't done the case study.
Yeah, so if you haven't.
The one who can give you a good report.
What I do, I can just tell you what I'm not here looking for jobs or anything. I get too much work. I run case studies, and in the case study on the last day, on a half a day, I ask students to bring their own computers. I give them the case study. They have to do it under time condition in front of me, just like CIMA. 54-minute question, that's it. Time up, they send it to the website I give them, and it uploads to my website. Then they do question 2, then they do question 3, then they do question 4, and then I get a whole folder of this, and I sit and I mark each one without the name. I don't know the name, and I just mark it as a real professional marker. Hardly anybody passes my case study, hardly, in the mock exams. Yeah? But when the real exam, they pass usually. So they're always upset when I give them the marks from the mocks. But what can you do? If they haven't passed, they haven't passed. Then I tell them, this is where you're going wrong, this is where you're going wrong, this is where you're going wrong. In the real exam, then they get through with that. So I'm sure Gitu will be organizing some help for you guys on the case study. I just want to talk to you about what is this case study, first of all. So 4 times a year, 5 variants that you have to do. Each case is a real life example. So please use real life examples in your classroom, in your exam questions itself. We had an operational case study last week. It was about flowers business. Companies growing flowers, roses, chrysanthemums, and all this. So you look for which companies in the world do flower business, and start, modeling those answers to it. Bring those answers into your questions. Absolutely perfect. Nothing wrong about it. So if it is a valid point to bring in, then bring it in itself. At managerial level, remember this donut is what I call a donut. You must know the donut. Strategic level, 25, 25, 25. Managerial, different percentages, okay? So you look up how much is core accounting, how much is people skill, how much is business skill, how much is leadership skill. And start thinking, how do you get marks for business skill? What do I write to get business skill marks? Depends on the scenario to scenario. So that's why it's important to see the past papers. You will see the marking guide as well in the past paper. How are the marks given to you? And then you realize, oh, this sort of point is a business skill mark. Yeah, this is a people skill marks. Oh, this is a leadership mark. Oh, this is integration. And what you are asked to do is to integrate your knowledge here. You cannot pass this case studies without some integration of your knowledge that is there. And you know, don't just look at the donut, okay? You look at the square where is the donut, and underneath it is like a foundation stone. The whole thing is sitting on ethics. So if your answers don't have business ethics, yeah, pretty poor answer. Yeah. So need to cover. So there's ethics there, then there's a round donut sitting on top of it with different sections to it. Pay particular attention, get to know them. Yeah? There is enough on CIMA website. Trust me, there is a lot of material on CIMA website about what is this, each of these skills, how is this integration done. Articles have been written. So before you start your case study, you've got to read all that stuff, absolutely. And if there is a past case which is not the same as your February case, it doesn't matter. It's only the story is different. Requirements are the same. Yeah? So you'll have to answer on a practical basis. You'll get an email saying, can you please address these issues, blah, blah, blah. To be honest with you, on the managerial level, the question leads you to the answer. Read the question. It will say, can you please do this for me? So your answer then is this, and this, of course. But students don't do it. Students don't do it. And 3 words I give you for case study: presentation, presentation, presentation. You have to present your answers properly. Every question you do, you hit your head like this and say, presentation, presentation, presentation. What did Dilip teach me? How do you write an email? How do you write a report? How do you write briefing notes? Questions are this sort of things. Yeah? Write a briefing note about this. A briefing note is different to an email. And you need to know how to address this thing. So as you get to your managerial level, this is what you'll have to do. And above all, how to integrate things. Yeah? Question is there, but you now need to think about it and say, for example, if you're doing strategic level, question is about E3, but how does it affect something I've studied in F3 with something with my studies in P3? Now, if you can't integrate, how can you pass this exam? You're a strategic level student. You can't pass this. And that's what CIMA is testing you. And above all, ethics, of course, at every stage. All right? So more will be done on case study for you. At the moment, just get rid of this objective test question. Just spend 5 minutes quickly on case study. And the next question for you might be, how do I prepare for a case study? Fair question, yeah? Because it's got 3 papers. Yeah, do I need to know everything from everything? Well, you've done the objective test question, so your knowledge is there. Might have forgotten something, yeah, sure. Again, CIMA website gives you the various areas of the syllabus which are important for each of the case study. So managerial, which bits from P2, which bits from F2, which bits from E2 I need for this paper. So get hold of that. Yeah? And then you will know, you don't need to know everything from the P2 syllabus for the case. Not everything from the F2, no. Parts of it, that is that. All right?
So, but even if we consider all of this knowledge, which part is from the case study, suppose the last time, November was IT industry.
Yeah,
so,
ABC solution, yeah.
Yeah, so the basic issue was, what do you analyze? There were, in CIMA itself said that you don't have to do in-depth research of IT.
No.
So I just focused on the pre-CIMA.
That's fine.
Yeah, but try to do a SWOT and all.
Yeah.
But at the time of writing the actual paper, nothing was striking my head. Like, what should I actually write? And in one of the questions, I gave a particular recommendation. In the next question, my recommendation, it was rejected, and it said the board is considering the actual proposal, which I turned down. So I panicked at that point. I was like, what should I do? So the immediate 2 questions were like a total drain for me.
Okay, so first thing, my advice on this one is remember the words RTQ. Read the question. So when it comes up on the screen, it says, I've received an email, can you please address this, this, this? The question guides you, tells you what to do. So when you say to me, I don't know what to write, it means you haven't really read the question. Yeah? If you read the question leads you to it. At managerial level, that's what it is. It says to you, received an email, and I need to, if I had it here, I'll put it up on the screen for you, and say, can you please address this, this, this by the next board meeting that I'm going to have, right? Now, you start thinking, who am I, first of all? So who are you as a person you are writing? Yeah? And you are writing from that position. These guys are going to be senior managers level. So they need to write at a higher level than you would have to. So it's nobody's looking for maybe you had very high expectations of yourself, thinking, oh, it's going to be very high, superfluous, powerful stuff in here. No. It is testing you at that managerial level that you are at and see what you need to answer. Now, if I had the question, I would tell you how would you have addressed it in that self. So if you start thinking, I started running out of ideas of what to write.
Yes.
And then if you then look at it and see, have I actually answered what is required? Maybe you've already answered the question. If you've not written anything at all, that's a different story. Yeah? But you need to relate it back to ABC, the ABC Solution Company itself. Did you see this? People skill, leadership skill, business skills, right? Outsourcing something, business, yes? Absolutely, it's a business problem that is there. People skill, leadership skill, change management. What will you do once you have outsourced the thing? You've got spare resources lying around. It's underutilization of your capacity. Is this good for your shareholders? No. Does it add value to your company? In the short term, maybe not, maybe in the long run. Yeah? And that is what's required. And this is where what I call maturity. Yeah? So a little bit of maturity needs to start coming in. The textbook will not teach you this, I'm afraid. You can't learn this from. The textbook cannot. Everyday application. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Start doing it on a day, every day. So question is fair. How do I do it? My answer, every day you apply it to the real world around you. Anything you see, keep yourself aware of what's happening. Like I just told you, merger, acquisition. Do it. Find out. What is the risk for your companies? Just told you. Start thinking like this. And then you'll start thinking, yeah. You go to a restaurant, you eat and come out. Why? Think of the business. What's this business doing here? How is he making money here? Can he do anything better? Does this add value to him? You understand? This is it naturally starts coming to you after a while. But no, there is no book to teach you this. All right? So you need a person like me who comes and then shakes your brain a little bit and make you do it. So my students suffer a lot in my class because I question them, probe them, harass them. Yeah? And then they start saying, yes, this is what it is all about. This is how it actually works. And I'm not saying I have the art because, I've been teaching case study only since case study started. So I'm not saying I know it all. No, of course not. I learn it as well as I go along. And you begin to see how these things are. All right? Okay. So thank you for your attention today. Sorry if I kept you a little bit longer. I don't know what time the session was going to finish today.